Let me open your eyes a little bit before I am taken to social media for wrong reasons. When the Jews could not fulfill their calling, the Lord pulled out a remnant from them. True or false? And when Christ said, "Your house is left to you desolate, you will not see me here again." And a new movement, I'm loosely calling it new. It is not new. It is just the same movement, only that purity is now separated from darkness. And the pure ones separate. Christ did not leave us a religion. It is people in Antioch that called them who? Christians. And they continued in that purity for centuries until we had what we call the universal church. Very pure. And because they felt for the gospel to move faster, let us compromise so that people can come, even non-Jews, okay? We can have Romans, we can have Greeks. They can come. We will change them when they are already where? Inside. Allow them to come with their gods. And then they began introducing sanamu wapi? Kwa kanisa. And when the church became corrupt, terms of worship, again, the Lord pulled out a what? A remnant. And that which was called the universal church remained as the Roman Catholic Church. And those that left because they couldn't agree with false teachings, that is when we had the era of Protestant revolution. Are you listening to me? History is good. Wachana history mnafanya hapa shuleni ya nani, ya Jomo Kenyatta, ya nani, Oginga Odinga. Hiyo haitakusaidia. Hiyo itakusaidia tu kuelewa siasa ya sai ya tukukadi. Okay? History ya kweli is found in Revelation. It's called the 7 seals that represent the history of the church from the beginning to the what? To the end. Every seal represents an era of the history of the church from the beginning to the end, when Christ shall come. That is now real history. And Protestants continued in purity and got to a point they also compromised. Is it? Particularly with the day of what? Worship. And when Protestants also compromised, it's called the apostate Protestantism. God again pulled out a what? A remnant that you find yourself today in, called Sabbath keepers. And that cycle continues. Today we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I know you'll call this motogeni, but utaiona pale mbele. Today we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church with all the truth bestowed upon them, but they have compromised the truth. Very dishonest in truth. Today, the Protestant church is honest in their era. We are dishonest in our truth. I can assure you, Christ will not come with the state of the church looking like this. The Lord will again pull out a remnant, pure, to finish his work. Hiyo kitu itaniweka kwa shida kidogo, lakini nimesema imenitoka. Tungoje kama itafanyika. Haulazimishwi kuikubali. Hapana, haulazimishwi. Haulazimishwi kuikubali. Wewe nenda soma maandiko peke yako hata wewe. And you'll hear people say, the church of God can never fall. Because they have borrowed that from spirit of prophecy. When it favors them, they are willing to borrow from spirit of prophecies. When it does not favor them, they say those are just cancels. Stulete vitu ya mama white up. It is true the church can never fall. But you need to ask yourself, what is a church? The church is not the great cathedrals you see. The church is not a national establishment. The church is not the various denominations we have. The church is a group of people who have come together, and God has his presence amidst them. Why am I telling you? We are the same ones that say this church can never fall. The church that can never fall is not the church, the denomination, the cathedral, the national establishment. No. The church that can never fall is the church at heart. Those that have decided to maintain the purity as it was given to us. That is now the church that can never fall. But otherwise, you agree with me that National Sunday Law is coming. See that one, you know. Will there be any denomination standing? We shall be ruled by only one what? One denomination. So at that time, where will be Seventh-day Adventist Church that you're saying it can never fall? Where will be it? We will not be having all these names you have. We shall be ruled by one power. The one that will never fall is the church at heart. People who have decided to maintain that purity. It will be called the church in the wilderness. Nilifika aje huko? Tulikuwa tunazungumzia nini? I had said that many of the early believers were immediately cut off from family and friends by the zealous bigotry of the Jews. And now it was necessary to provide them with food and shelter. How I got there was I said, the day you accepted baptism into Christianity, you were rejected by family and friends because they believed Christianity was an offshoot. Christianity was a sect. They couldn't believe another group could come out after Judaism. They couldn't believe they were the called. Even when Christ said, you see these things, those stones shall be left upon the other. They said it is not true. Was Jerusalem destroyed or not? It was. And 70 years after that prophecy, it was. I'm warning you, now that you want to get into ministry, I am doing what? Warning you. And listen to this warning. The day you will purpose to live a consistent life of purity and holiness, the day you will purpose to preach the gospel in its simplicity, the day you will purpose to proclaim the gospel in terms of straight messages, is the day they will label you an offshoot. I accept we have offshoots, but I also accept there is a truth that does not sit comfortable with the church. Offshoots are there, and they have the wrong doctrine. But we have people who have a right doctrine, and because they have refused corruption, they are facing what we call persecution. And they have not said they are moving out of the church. They have no intention. The church is the one that sends them away. If you thought when the Lord will be shaking the church, it is those that will remain in the church, this church you think is a church building, that those are the ones that will remain clean. When the Lord is shaking, he is pulling out those that are pure. they will be rejected. Even you'll be rejected. Utakuja hapa na maombi ingine utaambiwa hapana, waisdia waombange hivyo. Ama watakuambia siku hizi unaomba sana. You're becoming too spiritual. Niulize, hii nyumba ni ya kuchanga ama ni nyumba ya maombi? My house shall be called a house of what? Prayer. Siku hii itakuwa a house of prayer. You will see the opposition. You will be told, don't pray again like that. Ama they'll tell you took too long when you are praying. Of course, public prayers are not meant to go for long. But there is a time the Holy Spirit can take captive of a congregation until someone prays even for 10 minutes, 15, and no one feels it's 10 or 15. Don't we have preachers who have preached 2 hours and you feel like it was 30 minutes? And don't we have preachers who only took 15 minutes and you feel like they took forever? It's about the power of the Holy Spirit. You wait. The day you will start, you'll be told that thing you want to do here cannot be done here. And so many of them were rejected. And when they were rejected, it was necessary now to provide them with food and what? And shelter. Are we ready for street family? That when we begin evangelism in the streets, are we ready to give them food and shelter? The much we can do is cook food, take to the streets and feed them. Take photos. Say we fed them. And leave them there. We don't have a plan for city evangelism. City evangelism is complex. You'll meet women who have given birth on the streets with their children. Haujaenda hapo tao uone mama mwenye mbeba mtoto wa wiki 2 ndiye amezaa. Na alizaa kwa tunnel na akakata. Kitovu hiyo vitu yote akatoa na anaishi hapo kwa street. Eti wewe kitu unaweza fanya ni tuchangishe hapa vitu tupeleke huko kama tumevaa t-shirts mpya. Zimeandikwa Eden Springs. Seventh Day Adventist Church. Alafu tubebe tupeleke huko kwa town. Tupige mapicha mingi vile tunawapatia. Alafu turudi tuseme tulifanya hivyo. Evangelism. And then when they say, now I have accepted your Christ, you begin to panic, where do you want to take that prostitute? Because they have no place to go. Their home is the streets. After they have accepted Christ, are we willing to bring them in? Naongea na nyinyi. Tunazungumzia communion in what? Action. When a Muslim will accept Christ and is rejected with their Muslim family, do we have a home to host them? When we shall go to town and preach and we have 20 street boys that are homeless, do we have a place to keep them? Provide shelter and food. We are used to short-term solutions. We are never geared for long-term solutions. And when that need arose, beloved, listen to me. Those among the believers who had money and possessions cheerfully, underline that word, cheerfully sacrificed them to meet that emergency. Not those who didn't have money. Those that had what? Money. Wale washiriki walikuwa na pesa na mali. Walitoa kwa raha yote, cheerfully, to meet that emergency. Nauliza, are you willing? Maxwell, tuuze Passat. Maxwell, are we willing? Tuuze Passat. Tujenge nyumba hapa yenye tunaweka street family tukishawahubiria. Are we willing? Mbona leo mnashtuka mnaniangalia na macho kubwa kubwa mkifanya hivi? Ama hii mahubiri nimetoa kwetu huko Kisii? I'm challenging us. Are we willing? Pastor, are we willing? Hiyo wacha ningoja isink kidogo alafu tuendelee kuongea. Yani hawa watu, when the need arose, we have had 3,000 and they've been rejected from their homes. They have no place to go. That is not such a small number. That's a big number. And they must be fed and they must be given what? Shelter. Church members who had money and possessions had now to give them sacrifice. And they did it cheerfully to meet that emergency. Tukienda hapo kwako, tupate umepaka hapo Prado, TX, VXL. Paka umezijengea kanyumba hivi umeweka tandarua. Prado VXL. Hiyo ni ya mama. Yako Range Rover Sport. Na ya watoto. Mtoto yoyote atataka kutoka saa ile anataka kutoka. Atatoka na BMW X6. Kuna vitu, sijui nikae hapa chini ndio msikie vitu nasema vizuri. Mnajua hiyo magari ni pesa ngapi? Hiyo vitu imekuwa tuko parking. Mnajua ni pesa ngapi? Sisemi ni vibaya kuwa nayo. Kuwa nayo. Lakini tutakapokuwa na hitaji kanisani, are you willing to cheerfully release them for the work of Christ? Are you willing? So there's an evangelism we've defined for ourselves, and there's one we are shy because the logistics are complicated. So we are only comfortable with the one. We'll go make noise. Those who come have homes. They have places to go. And we baptize. And we don't even care to do a follow-up. Whether they came next Sabbath or not. We don't care. Sisi tulibatiza. In fact, a prostitute will come dressed in her usual outfit because that is all she has. And you'll see women looking at her and say, hey, wacha nikupe leso. Kama tulimbatiza last Saturday. Na hii Sabato wanakuja. Na tulijua vizuri tumebatiza prostitute. Iko mama alifikiria kusema wacha nimtembelee, anakuja kanisa Sabato ijayo. Nimtafutie nguo. Akifika hapa vitu watu wataongea, hata watasahau ni new church member. Watasahau. Ni masengenyo watakuwa nayo kweli kweli. Unaingia kiti. Montaji kanisa. Alibusa hiyo. There's life in the streets out here. There's life in the slums. And they form the majority. Even politicians know when they want kura. Kura is called what? When they want the votes. They focus not in Kilimani. They focus where? Kibera. And other slums. Because that is where majority of voters are. Sahi ukiangalia estates mingi where we have middle class and low class, those that are poor. Right now, it's like there's money all of a sudden to do roads. Hata kuna ingine nilipita hapa mchana, hapo Mihango, nilipita. Imewekwa lami kweli kweli, sababu kura ziko hapo. Si tunaenda kura next whatever. Mbona sisi pia tusitafute watu hapo? Sisi shida yetu ni tunaona wakikuja tunawapeleka wapi? Watakuwa mzigo. You know, manipulating a poor person is so easy. You can manipulate them into light or darkness. And the devil is manipulating most of them into what? Darkness. I was on Musa Gitau Road, if you know where Musa Gitau Road is. As you go to Nairobi School, opposite there's Deloitte. Inaitwa Deloitte ama Deloitte? Hiyo kitu. Kando ya Deloitte, unapoingia, there's a temple there. Iko temple ya pinkish hivi. It is either Buddhism or Hinduism, I'm not so sure. And I spent a better part of the day on that route. So when I got hungry, I walked to Quickmart. It's just there. And there is a slum at the end of that road. It's called Muruku. Nito? Huh? Muruku, eh? There is a slum there. Jina yake inapotea. Waruku. Kitu kama hiyo. Hey, Waruku. The road, all of a sudden, hakuna mali ya kupita. Watoto wamejaa barabara, kila mtu wako na uhuru bag, imejaa kitu ndani. Na wengine wanatembea na ndugu zao wamebeba kwa mguu. Kids, very young. So I was asking, where are they getting these things from as they climbing up to Waruku? Nikapata ni hapo kwa kanisa hiyo ya, I think it is either Buddhism or what. There's a religion there. Wanapewa hizo vitu. Mpaka Crocs. Vitabu. Chakula. And they pick that almost every Sunday. Niambie huyu mtoto akiitwa aingie hapo aombe. Atakata? Atakata? We niongelesha nitakupiga. Atakata? The truth is, they are going hungry. And there's someone who has offered them food. They just don't know where to get it. And because someone is offering food, they don't care where it has come from. They make friends with the one who cares that they have fed well. I still have a problem with our cathedrals. Elder, we uko hapo unanisikia? Tutakapopata pesa ya milioni 100 ya kujenga hii kanisa na tukose ya kupatia watu chakula hapa nje. Something is wrong with us. Something is wrong with us.